everybody. Hi, everyone. I have to hit record here too. So I'm going to have a couple of different ways for you to view this so that you can hear it. And hopefully you are super excited to be joining and learning a little bit about performing, right? So pillar number one, we learned weekly lessons and everything that goes into weekly lessons. What kind of a teacher you should get? Should you have a coach? Are you ready for that aspect yet? What is the difference between a voice teacher and a coach? We talk about all of that in pillar one. Pillar two is your daily practice, how to develop your voice on a daily basis on your own, what types of things you should be doing. Of course, all of the wonderful techniques that we do in voice lessons, and of course in the Legacy Voice app, which I break it down for you bit by bit in the Spotlight vocal exercises, so that when you start working on your routines, you can really know the technique, right? And of course, obviously, getting coached by me one-on-one is a really great way and a really great opportunity to learn these techniques and how to gain the right posture in your voice and what the vocal mechanism it consists of, the muscles, the vocal folds, and everything else, the larynx, lifting your soft palate. All of that comes with your daily practice. Pillar number three is repertoire. And if you are in the Legacy Voice, if you're a member of Legacy Voice, only $10 a month, right? If you're a member of Legacy Voice, then you will have access to all of the downloads that I offer there. One of the things that you learn in repertoire, of course, is what your vocal range is. It's really important to know that. So this way you can choose the right repertoire for you, right? Okay. Then once you find the right repertoire, you got to keep them in a list somewhere. So I have created a song list tracker just for you, so you can keep track of what your songs are, how memorized it is it stage ready, what level of readiness is it, right? Are you still working on it? That's in a drop-down menu. Then you have what key it's in, and then you have what show it might be from, or who was the original singer. And then a lot of other information, important information that you need to keep track of. So if you ever do a gig or you need to send your set list to, say, a venue and they want to know what kind of music you sing, you'll have it all right there in your song list tracker. Now we're diving into pillar four, which is all about performing. You've got to know. You've got to have, your daily lesson, your weekly lessons, your daily practice, and your repertoire. The next part, the next most important aspect of being a singer is actually performing. And of course, we have live performance, pre-recorded performance, televised, all different kinds of things. We're starting today with pillar 4.1, okay? And this is all about live performance. All right, so we're going to talk today about unpaid versus paid performances, whether or not it's important to take an unpaid performance, which a lot of people do. We'll talk about that too. All right, so it is time to get real, right? We're going to start with types of venues, and then we're going to go into those unpaid and paid performances. But first, let's just talk a little bit about what we talked about last pillar, okay? There's a lot of false hype around gig life and fame and notoriety and making money, okay? So hopefully you got to see that documentary that is on YouTube. It's, if you missed it, we have the trailer, okay? I'll go ahead and provide that information for you, but you can look it up on YouTube. It's called Artifact, and it gives you quite a bit of insight into what it's like to be signed by a record label and what it is to be taken advantage of in this industry, okay? And I go into that quite deeply when we talk about the business of singing, okay, which is pillar number 9. My goal for you, if singing is truly what you want for yourself, even if you decide to sing in a choir for the rest of your life, right? My goal for you is to show you that you can make a lot of money singing. You can. Even if you're never famous, you can make a lot of money singing, and you can make a lifelong career of it without seeking fame. In fact, you will be better off for it, believe me. believe me. You'll be thoroughly fulfilled too in your career, probably more so than if you sought it for fame and notoriety rather than to fulfill something deeper inside of you, right? Okay, because seeking fame comes with a lot of sleazy people, right? Trying to take advantage of you. And those sleazy people, as I'm sure you know, can come in all shapes and sizes and looks, and they might be clean cut and they might seem trustworthy, right? But there might be a little something off. You got to trust your instincts, okay? They may be business types that are extremely charming, telling you exactly what you want to hear, what an amazing singer you are, and you're going to be perfect for this, and you're going to make $1 million, right? Rather than giving you practical advice and a clear path toward lifestyle freedom in a job that you love. That is what I want for you most, right? I don't want to charm the pants off of you. I want you to have a clear path with practical advice toward a lifestyle of freedom in a job you love. You have to love to sing. And if you love it, you will make money. You will always make money no matter what, if you desire it and you truly love it, okay? Because listen, those sleazy people out there, if they actually make you famous, which they might, okay? Watching that documentary Artifact, you will find that you are not likely to see much of the money that you thought that you'd be making, okay? Because they will own you, okay? I'm definitely going to talk more about this in Pillar 9, Business of Singing, okay? So I'm just going to tell you a quick story. All right. When I was in high school, I was probably in 9th or 10th grade, and you're young, 14, 15 years old, and we were singing and making up songs, me and my one of my good friends, and she was playing guitar. I am not a guitarist, but she was a fantastic guitarist, and we would write songs and sing harmonies, and it was so much fun. And one of an older boy, when you're young, like 9th, 10th grade, right? Anybody who's older than you think know better. Well, this kid, he was a senior in high school, and he said, oh my goodness, the two of you, I'm going to make you two famous. I'm going to have, a limo come pick you up from school, and we're going to take you to the venue, and you're going to perform. And he made up this whole story. And for a minute, I thought, yes, he knows what he's doing. We trust him. He's in high school. He's a friend of a friend. Okay, I learned this lesson very, very, very early on. And I am so glad I learned it at this age, because had I waited a little bit or maybe listened to somebody who had real clout in the industry, this kid had no clout. He was just telling us lies, telling us what we wanted to hear. People will do that. So you have to learn the lesson early, okay? Because I promise, if you desire a career in singing and you don't want to be taken advantage of, you've got to work hard at it, okay? There's going to be times when you might have to survive on ramen noodles for 2 weeks at a time. I've done it before, okay? And those are the kinds of things, you may not ever have to do that. I did have to do that. But I will tell you this, you definitely want to work hard, and you don't want someone to charm you into thinking that this career is going to make you completely famous and it's going to do all these wonderful things. It takes hard work. Okay. So what'll happen is, basically, if they do that, they're going to strip you of your self-worth. Okay. In every way. And this is not what I want for you. This is, as your teacher, this is not what I want for you. Okay. I want you to be informed. I want you to be armed. Okay. And I want you to be clear-headed, okay? I want you to understand the industry inside and out. I want you to have an advantage over everyone else while continuing to claim your own identity and to maintain your integrity, okay? That is what I'm here to do for you, and that's what the 10 Pillars of Successful Singing is. Period. This is going to make you the best that you can be. while getting paid and having a wonderful career, traveling the world. You will have those things if you desire it and you work hard without letting somebody else take advantage of you, telling you what you want to hear. I want you to be informed, armed, and clear-headed. That's what this is all about, okay? So let's get started, okay? Starting today, we are going to get into the nuts and bolts of this industry and all of the options that are out there for you. I am so excited to share this with you, okay? Because there are so many wonderful things that this industry really can provide, okay? So let's talk about this. We've got paid performances, okay? World travel, and this is all available to you. All of this is available to you, and I am not giving you false hype. This is the truth. If this is what you want to get paid, you want world travel, okay? You want to meet really new and interesting people from all different cultures, right? You want to experience those different cultures. You want to learn new languages, okay? You want to have a career actually that it actually encourages and it almost requires an unending amount of vitality, good health, and daily exercise as part of your lifestyle, as part of your career, okay? There are very few industries in this world that can claim that, all right? This, and I'm speaking from true experience, okay? This is what this career has given me, all of these things. And every single day in my life is something to look forward to. And for me, way better than some desk job, right? I really, really want to instill this in you, how wonderful a singing career can be if this is what you choose for yourself, okay? Because you can do all of those things that we said right here, and you'll have a wonderful career. Every day is something to look forward to, okay? So right now, let's talk about the types of performances that you can look forward to when you are singing live, okay? By the way, these can also be paid and unpaid performances, right? So we'll also be talking about venue spaces where you can have a performance, from a living room recital to giant arenas, opera houses, Broadway stages, everything in between, okay? We'll talk about that. But right now, okay, why don't you just meet yourself right where you are? Right here. Are you ready to sing for an audience of 20 to 60,000 in a huge arena or stadium? Maybe, but my guess is that that may seem a little bit daunting right now. So while you could definitely get there in due time, you actually need to start by simply singing in front of someone, okay? That someone might be me. It might be in a studio class. It might be your family and friends in your own living room or someone else's living room, okay? This is actually something that even the biggest stars, they still do, and they go back to every now and then, right? Because it's an intimate performance, something small. People love that. Singers love that. And you would love that, okay? All right, so let's talk about the different types of venues that you can be doing from your home and your backyard, your neighborhood, your city, right, and beyond. First, what can be considered a music venue? What is a music venue? Okay. A music venue is just any location used for a concert or a musical performance. That's the definition of a venue, music venue. Music venues can range in size and in location, from your home in your backyard, an outdoor market, a festival or a fair, an assisted living facility, a small coffee house, okay, a restaurant, an outdoor band shell, a bandstand, a gazebo, a jazz club, a concert hall, an amphitheater, a sports stadium, an arena. We're just getting bigger and bigger, right? So we can go from a very intimate in-home place to perform to something like an arena, okay? So by the way, several of those above venues can actually be found not only on land, but at sea, right? On cruise ships, okay? So let's talk about that, okay? There's a whole subset of performing venues on cruise ships, right? Which obviously you have to audition for, which we'll talk about. But there's also corporate concerts and performances that you could put on, right? How about college? There's a whole college circuit that you could be performing at colleges, right? And there's agencies for that. And of course, the wedding circuit. You could go to a wedding expo and, you know, have your materials out and get seen that way. And you can make a pretty decent living singing at weddings too, okay? There's so much work out there. Literally, there's so much work out there that anyone who really wants to sing for a living can do that just fine. You will do it just fine if that's what you truly want, okay? So typically, different types of venues host different genres of music, right? Opera houses, band shells, and concert halls are well suited to hosting classical music performances, right? While public houses, right? We know them as pubs or bars, lounges, nightclubs, they typically offer music in contemporary genres like rock, dance music, jazz, blues, country, pop music. Okay, now if you live in Florida like I do, there are nearly 1,000 registered golf and country clubs, and almost all of them have a performance venue, okay? You can make a regular career of singing throughout the Sunshine State and only singing at each venue every 4 to 5 years and do really well if that's the only place that you've been singing is in country clubs. This is what I do these days, okay? I earn a really great income doing it. And hopefully this gives you a really clear idea of the kinds of shows that you could be performing and what kinds of venues that can host your show, okay? And this may be daunting at first. It's a little bit overwhelming if you've never looked into it this way, but this is something that you'll kind of get used to. The more repertoire you build, the more you sing in front of people. To start in your living room, sing in a recital, start singing in restaurants, go into some other areas and maybe take some auditions, okay? All right, I have a few questions for you. What other venues can you think of that I have not listed? Because there's so much out there. What other venues? I've listed a whole lot, but are there other ones, okay? What kind of venue do you think is appropriate for the type of music that you love to sing? What local venues can you sing in right now? What venues do you aspire to sing in the future? And what repertoire should you be learning to really up your game so that you can sing in these venues? All right. Very important questions to ask yourself. And I want you to continue asking yourself these questions as you go through your studies as a singer and as you continue to build your repertoire, right? All right. It is time to talk about getting paid, right? But first, let's talk about this. Okay, we go much deeper into this in Pillar 9 in the business of singing. All right, let's just talk. I want to give you some ideas of what your options are to begin, okay, with unpaid versus paid performances. So you could probably figure out that an unpaid performance might be a recital or something like that, right? So in today's common usage, a recital tends to be a non-professional unticketed performance in a smaller venue. So if you take voice lessons, right, you should be at least doing some recital once a year or maybe twice a year, right? So so if you're like in a voice studio like mine or a school, okay, it gives fledgling songbirds a chance to get used to being in front of an audience, okay? It is in a very safe environment, non-judgmental, just an opportunity to get up on stage, to get used to the feeling of the lights, to be on stage maybe above or at the same level as your audience, or just to be in front of people and singing, right? Okay, now a concert, on the other hand, right, is usually held in a larger hall, and there's typically an admission fee. That's great for professional songbirds, right? So obviously the goal is to be a paid professional songbirds songbird, but there are reasons for every singer to do an unpaid performance. And I'll give you a hint. How about even the biggest name A-list stars do unpaid performances, which is what you see here. Ever heard of a thing called the Super Bowl? Yep. That halftime show is indeed an unpaid performance. So let's start talking about paid performances, because ultimately that's what we want, right? We put all of this work and effort and training and love into our career as a singer. So let's get paid. Let's get paid for it and not get taken advantage of, okay? So let's take a look at some venues from before, okay, and decide which would work well for you right now to get paid. A home living room, backyard, outdoor market, right? We talked about all of these before. Take a look, okay? You can pause it on your afterwards and while you're watching it, okay? So these venues, you may need to do some self-promotion, or you actually may need to set up an audition to get into, okay? We'll discuss more about auditions later in this module, okay? And we'll also discuss more about it in the business of singing and the things that you need to have for it, okay? So let's talk about small local venues. First, you have small venues like bars, clubs, restaurants, and coffee houses, even markets, okay? You can find most of these venues in your neighborhood or in your nearest city, okay? There are caveats, though, to these venues, as most will pay very little and may actually cancel on you with very little notice. I have had that happen to me a number of times because you don't necessarily, it's not contracted, okay? So you show up, you sing, they put you on a roster, maybe they have a calendar on their website and they promote you from within. You have to promote yourself oftentimes, bring your friends, bring your family to come in, okay, put it on your own website and that kind of thing, all right? You'll also likely have to invest in your own sound equipment, okay, that you have to drag in, set up a few hours in advance sometimes, and then break it down yourself after the gig is over, okay? So if you like wearing heels on stage, might I recommend wearing comfy shoes to the gig as you set up and break down your equipment, okay? And we'll talk more about equipment needs in Pillar 9 in the business of singing, okay? So the other caveats of singing in these types of venues is they may or may not feed you, or they might give you a discount, maybe a 20% discount, okay? And their patrons will often be talking over you and it'll make you merely background music. Okay, I don't want to completely knock down these venues because they definitely have their merit. I promise you this, but it can sometimes be a frustrating way to get your voice heard, okay? I actually call these paid rehearsals. I do, I know. I call them paid rehearsals for a reason. So they're a great way to try new repertoire and you get money from these venues, right? You may get the money from the venues plus tip money, right? Just to practice new material, okay? So you will also get gigs regularly, especially if you put your name out there to lots of different restaurants. That's a great way to practice performing techniques and really build your confidence and singing in front of people, really, okay? Especially if you're doing them over and over and over again, and you have a way that you can also build a fabulous local following in these kinds of venues. Most of these places will have openings for live entertainment too, okay? So you have lots of opportunity to build a following, try new material, get paid to do it, okay? And do it more often because they're always looking for an entertainer in their venue, right? So sometimes they have them on the weekends and sometimes they have them throughout the week. It depends on what city you're in and it depends on what time of year, right? Like I said, if you live in Florida, we have a lot of seasonal venues that you'll sing. There's opportunities to sing from about January through around May, where a lot of venues will have performers every night of the week for 4 or 5 months straight. Okay, so you may have an opportunity to do something weekly, every week. Okay, that way also you can, you'll gain fans for life, right? And a lot of them love to say to you, I knew you when, I knew you when. So believe me when I tell you, if there are really, really great reasons to do this kind of work here. All right. But once you start doing more of that, and those will always be available to you, now you can start looking into maybe some medium and large venues, places like jazz clubs, cabaret spaces, dinner theaters, amphitheaters, concert halls, okay? Those ones, they're typically ticketed events, and I'm going to tell you about that in just a sec, okay? So with a ticketed event, there's two different types of ticketed events, and there's a hybrid as well, so I guess 3 ways to do this, right? But a hard ticket event is where you can charge a door fee or a ticket fee, and the venue may charge you a percentage of that fee. So if you say, I want to charge, $35 for a ticket, and then you get a percentage of that ticket for however many people show up to your concert. Okay, so if you get 100 people, that's kind of a lot of money, right? Okay, that's a hard ticket event. So you may also need to rent the space for a certain base amount on top of that ticket fee, which can be negotiated by you, or if you have a manager, it can be negotiated by your manager. Okay, now a soft seat venue theater, okay, or theater will pay you a flat competitive guaranteed fee. Okay, that's going to be regardless of the ticket sales. So you might have 10 people, or you could have 1,000 people in your audience. That's what's known as soft ticket events. Okay, this is a much simpler way to book, actually, because there's a solid expectation of payment no matter how many people attend your concert. This is what I typically do now. And this is what I do at the country clubs and the headlining acts that I perform on cruise ships as well. Okay, so those are really great ways to kind of just keep a solid, you negotiate one amount and that's what you get paid. Okay, there are other wonderful ways to get paid too. And you have to be extremely prepared. No matter what, you have to be prepared, right? But this is a different kind of preparation, and this is for auditions and showcases. So I won't go too deeply into this right now. This will be later in this module, as well as in business in Pillar 9, but know that they are necessary to book regular performances and tours, okay? And there are all types of performances, or all types of auditions, I should say, for all different genres that are out there. And you don't necessarily get paid for an audition. You don't get paid for an audition, okay? But it will lead you to a really great tour or performance run that you can look forward to. And they'll also lead you to more events and more tours, the more you get to know with the casting directors and agents, right, for multiple contracts. So you're just on and on and on. If you work on a cruise ship, or if you work for a Broadway touring production company, or there's casting directors in New York on Broadway that you're interested in auditioning for, if they see you more, you're more likely to get hired, right? So you've got to show up and show up prepared. Okay, but we'll talk more about that. All right, I have some questions for you here. Can you think of reasons to do an unpaid performance right now? I often call this type of work pro bono, right? Just like lawyers do pro bono work. A lot of high professionals in the medical field or in as attorneys, they do pro bono work. You do pro bono work as well. All right. And there are reasons to do it. And some of those reasons differ from person to person, right? It could be networking. It could be, being able to sing in front of somebody that you never thought you'd ever sing for, right? Or very low pay. Okay. All right. Can you think of reasons to say no to an unpaid performance? Can you think of reasons to say no to a paid performance? And there are lots of reasons to say no, just like there's lots of reasons to say yes. You don't have to say yes to everything, okay? Can you think of any kinds of venues that you would need to audition for, right? Beyond what we talked about. What kind of venues would you self-promote to get the gig, okay? some of the audition ones we talked about, Broadway tours, Broadway, maybe local theaters, regional theaters, cruise ships, that kind of thing. What kinds of venues would you self-promote to get the gig? Well, you'd have to maybe walk into a restaurant or a bar and say, hey, I've got my own PA, I've got all my equipment, I've got lots of repertoire, here's my song list, right? That you have from pillar 3 point, which one was it? 3.4, I think, right? You get the song list tracker. You have all the songs that you have that you've ever sung, and they can look at it and say, this is great. Wow, you sing everything from like, you know, jazz from the 1920s, 30s, and 40s to, you know, you're singing Billie Eilish. That's great. That's exactly what we want in our venue, right? Okay. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to go to your worksheet and answer the following questions. And those are all the questions that we talked about earlier, right? Keep in mind that you'll likely be asking yourself these questions, by the way, often as you continue to reevaluate your career and step up into greatness, okay? So you're gonna wanna bookmark this worksheet, okay? Here are your questions. Those are the questions we asked earlier, and the questions I just asked as well, all right? You can pause it right here or go right into your worksheet now and start filling it out, because this is the time. If you really want to step it up, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go right to that worksheet. You're going to fill out these questions, keep it bookmarked, make copies of it. You have it for life. So enjoy that so much. Congratulations. Great job, Songbird. I am so excited that you are getting prepped for your performances, because there are so many opportunities out there that you can definitely make a career of singing from this moment on. I will see you in the next pillar.